Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, baby, because you already know, for the Flock family, it's Purple Shades time. Let's talk about how Lamar Jackson is now 4-0 in Cincinnati on the road and is now 5-1 now versus Joe Burrow head-to-head. Lamar Jackson now beat Josh Allen and Joe Burrow in back-to-back weeks, combining for 7 total touchdowns, averaging a 127 passer rating. The Ravens have won 3 straight after an 0-2 start and now sit atop of the AFC North in the lead for their division. But hold up, before we start, you guys got to watch this clip from Justin Tucker.
Good feeling. I love Cincinnati. I'm thinking I'll get a place here.
Oh, really? No. Okay, no? Okay.
He said it's a nice place. I'm going to go buy a place in Cincinnati. Really? No. So let's talk about the top takeaways from this game. We got sound bites and clips from some media analysts, the players. We got full highlights, stats, breakdowns, everything you guys need. Let's dive into it. So at number 1, the offense shows they can win in multiple ways. What's beautiful so far about this offense is versus Dallas and versus Buffalo, we ran the football and was efficient in the passing game. We didn't light teams up through the air in those last 2 games, but we came out with pretty decisive wins. Cincinnati, hats off, man. They were able to bottle our run game at times. So they shut down Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the running game for a large part of this game. But, hey, that's fine. We'll just have Lamar Jackson throw for 348 yards and absolutely torch the Bengals. I mean, absolutely carve up your secondary. I mean, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 119.9 passer rating. And the weapons showed up today, man. How about these weapons for the Ravens? The Ravens had 4 receivers go over 50 yards. Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers were excellent, man. The tight ends were getting going too. Charlie Kohler with a big catch and run. Beautiful ball right down the seam from Lamar Jackson. Put it on the money for a nice run after catch opportunity. By the way, Charlie Kohler, I don't know if you saw, he had a quote after the game. Was like, hey, they were worried about, Mark and Likely, and they forgot about the fat white guy running down the middle of the field. Crack me up, man. Charlie Kohler, he's always fun in his interviews. He's been a underrated piece of this offense so far as a blocker and then showing up in big-time moments as a pass catcher. So it's really hard to focus on someone and double someone when you spread the ball around like that. Tylan Wallace gets in on the action as well. We talked about Tylan throughout training camp, how he could have a role, and he had 2 massive key clutch catches today. I think they were both on 3rd down as well, man, but they were in a game desperation driving mode where you have to have it. It's not like he was just thrown in there in the 1st or 2nd quarter. Lamar Jackson with the Tylan Wallace, and that shows a lot of trust. Then Derrick Henry, if you're talking about winning in multiple ways, he's bottled up most of the game, then rips off a huge 51-yard run to essentially win it in overtime. So before the 51-yard run, it's important to note, okay, check this out. Derrick Henry had 14 carries for 41 yards, averaging only 2.9 yards per carry. So the Bengals literally bottled up Derrick Henry for 4 quarters, but that wasn't enough because there was a 5th quarter. That's whenever Derrick Henry rips off a 51-yarder to absolutely break the back of the defense. So I love how the offense is showing they can win in multiple ways. Okay, we're going to take away the run game. We're going to show a bunch of run-fitting fronts. We're gonna keep a spy on Lamar Jackson and the design quarterback run. Man, they did an excellent job holding down our run game as a whole, but it didn't matter. Lamar Jackson carved him up through the air. The play that he had to Isaiah Likely was absurd. But before that, it's important to note what happened before that, because we go down by 10. I was writing down the game notes, and this is the series of events that happened. Okay, so I think we are on our 7th or 8th offensive possession. It's our first possession after the half. We're down by 10. The Bengals had all the momentum, and I wrote down, how do we respond? All the momentum is in Cincinnati's favor. They scored before the half. Then they come back and score again after the half, after we had a lead early in the first half. So the Bengals, they're rumbling. The crowd's going crazy. We're down by 10. I wrote down, how do we respond? First thing is a 16-yard catch and run by Zay Flowers. Nicely well-executed play. Then Lamar Jackson drives a beautiful ball over the middle of the field to Charlie Kolar for that 54-yard strike. And then we have the Lamar Jackson to Isaiah Likely magic that we witnessed. One of the best plays I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not just trying to be a homer or dramatic. A 215-pound quarterback, whatever he weighs now, stiff-arming almost 270, 300-pound defensive end, Sam Hubbard, who's, by the way, given us issues over the years in the playoffs, had the safety today. He's running down Lamar Jackson, and he stiff-armed him not once but twice, puts him in the dirt like a child, embarrasses him, and then throws a strike to Isaiah Likely for one of the best plays I've ever seen. And the momentum went swinging back the Ravens' way. And then, we couldn't stop the Bengals for a few drives. They scored back-to-back-to-back touchdowns. I mean, we got to give props to Joe Burrow. We're going to talk about the next thing here, Sue.
Yeah, right. I wrote this before the game, man. Hallelujah! I wrote this before the game. Can you read that? Can you read it? Can you read my writing?
The victory belongs to the Lord.
Amen.
Amen. Right. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Thy is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen.
So that brings us to number 2. Okay, so the defense. Let's talk about the Ravens defense versus the Cincinnati Bengals offense. The defense has problems. They do. Giving up 5 passing touchdowns is not good. Letting Jamar Chase go nearly 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins, 2 touchdowns. We gave up big play after big play. We're going to talk about that, break it down a little bit. The defense, and specific pass defense, is a big problem. Run defense looks great. It's not a concern. We're the best run defense in football. We got to get better at stopping the pass. However, despite the defense having problems, getting carved up by Joe Burrow, who was almost perfect today, 5 passing touchdowns, 371 yards, an interception, and 137 passer rating. Despite all of that, they made big plays in big moments. That's something we've not always done in the past. Maybe we played a good game and then couldn't make the big play in the big moment. But this time, we didn't play well, but then we have that Justin Madubuike sack that forced a 2nd and 17 to essentially force overtime. That was massive. We got the stop there. We also had a Nate Wiggins pass deflection on T. Higgins on that drive as well. We had the Marlon Humphrey interception. I mean, that essentially won the game right there. If we don't get the ball back, we don't win that game. So Marlon Humphrey, Justin Madubuike, Nate Wiggins, a couple of these guys making big plays in big moments. That was the difference in today's game. But let's talk about the pass D. Okay, so there was times where I thought really like we were in good position, tight coverage, and Joe Burrow was just dialed in, and the receiver was making a great play. Like there was times where stuff was contested, and I'll show some clips here. There was a couple of bad plays, like scheme-wise, maybe the screen to Jamar Chase. We could have been in better position there. The deep touchdown to Jamar Chase as well. We can't let the receiver get past us there. That's inexcusable. The only thing you can't have in that situation. But a lot of this stuff was just beautiful, on-time, precise, precision passing game where the DB's in a great position, but the receiver goes up, high points the ball, makes a strong catch, accurate throw, and you just tip your cap. Like there was times where Joe Burrow, I wrote down, he's dialed in right now. And but it wasn't good enough because our defense was able to get a few key stops. He made the mistake with the interception, and our offense was nearly unstoppable. We were 10 of 15 on 3rd down. So even in obvious passing situations, they could not stop the Ravens. So the offense, having a day, Lamar Jackson having an MVP type performance, combined with the defense making a few big key stops and big plays, is what allowed the Ravens to win despite, Joe Burrow throwing 371 yards and 5 touchdowns. And it's not like we didn't get pressure at times. I mean, we had 9 quarterback hits, 3 sacks, but there was just times where he was just getting the ball out on time, in rhythm. There was times where he felt too comfortable. The pass defense as a whole, I think we can do some things scheme-wise to maybe take some pressure off of some of our DBs at times. I don't have all the answers right now, but I do know that, this is something that's got to improve. So far, the Ravens have had issues with elite receivers. CeeDee Lamb had a big day. Devontae Adams had a big day. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase both had big days. The only team's passing offense that we bottled up was the Bills, and they didn't have a true number one receiver. And I think this clip right here from Nate Burleson kind of illustrates, and he says it well, what I'm trying to say about how the offense can win in multiple ways. If the run game's not going, the pass game can get going. Here's what he had to say.
We saw people throwing it all over the place, and there was no better example of that in the passing game than between these two teams.
Yeah, Derrick Henry said that Lamar's the GOAT and he's the best quarterback in football. Was he lying? I mean, it seems like Lamar can do it all. I mean, he accounted for just over 400 yards. If you're talking about passing, and also his 55 yards rushing. But like you said, Coach, if a team takes away Derrick Henry, and you know how to pivot in a game, and you can hit guys like Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely, and we're not even mentioning Mark Andrews. Yeah. He's like an afterthought, but we know he's going to show up when the season starts to progress and even in the playoffs, because that combo is always deadly. I just feel like this team can hit you from every angle, and on top of that, they didn't panic. Yeah. Like Lamar fumbled that snap, it seemed like the game was over, defense stepped up, they had another opportunity, and they closed it out.
At number 3, let's talk about the offensive line. The biggest takeaway here is that Ronnie Stanley, he kept Trey Hendrickson in check. We did not allow Trey Hendrickson to wreck the game, and guess what? It's not like we were doubling him every time either. There were times where Ronnie Stanley was just simply winning against Trey Hendrickson. We didn't allow their game wrecker to wreck our game. Part of that is matchup, because we talked about how he almost always rushes against the left tackle. He might have had more success against the right tackle on the right side of the line with Daniel Falele and Rosengarten. But the offensive line still has major room for improvement. The safety that we allowed to Sam Hubbard was terrible. I mean, what are we doing? We're on a 1 or 2 own yard line, and we run with Derrick Henry. And there's no reason that, Derrick Henry should ever be stuffed like that on a safety with the amount of force he brings downhill. But before he could even get going, Sam Hubbard came in unblocked and was able to tackle him. Sam Hubbard's a big dude. So the offensive line, I don't know if that fell on the right tackle Rosengarten or if that was on Daniel Falele, whose assignment it was to block Sam Hubbard. But the fact that he came in unblocked is just not good. Bad football. However, for most of the day, Lamar Jackson did have a lot of time to go through his progressions. I thought, the offensive line did well in pass protection as a whole. We'll have to look at run blocking because there wasn't a lot of open lanes for Derrick Henry, but I also thought the Bengals did an excellent job scheme-wise of bottling up our run game. Next thing we got here is Justin Tucker, man. He has his mojo back. We were talking about, is he washed? Do we need to go? We can't release Justin Tucker mid-season, right? And there was actually talks of that because he was missing a lot of, especially long field goals. He was 0 for 3, 0 for 4 for his last few 50-yard attempts, and it wasn't looking good. He missed a few field goals. I think it was 3 already in the season. That could have helped the Ravens not fall to 0-2 in their first 2 games. But he's got his mojo back. I mean, he crushed that 56-yard field goal to force overtime, and then he also had the game winner, the short field goal, but a big-time kick and a big-time moment. 2 big-time kicks and big-time moments there. And that's great news for the Ravens, because if Justin Tucker is still drilling, 56-yard field goals, that puts the Ravens at a big advantage with their offense, especially how well we've been able to move the football. It almost feels like if we can strike from that far, and with the amount of weapons we have, plus Lamar Jackson's rushing ability, how well the offense is as a whole right now, it feels like we're never out of a football game with our ability to quickly get in field goal range, especially in game ending situations. Our offense always has a chance. So I just want to touch on these receivers again one more time, because Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, man, they deserve some love. They had excellent games. Zay Flowers goes 7 catches, 111 yards, averaging 15.9 a pop. He was manipulating their DBs with his route running. He was explosive after the catch. He had strong hands. Shout out to Zay Flowers showing number 1 wide receiver capabilities. Charlie Kohler, we talked about him, 3 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. That was another big moment for Charlie Kohler. It wasn't just the long ball. It was showing up in the red zone as well. Shout out to Kohler. Bate had a big day, and I know the stats don't light it up there, but big time catches. That one where he extended with the hands. We'll put it up on the screen here, but Rashad Bateman goes 4 catches, 58 yards, averaging 14.5, and a big time touchdown whenever him and Lamar Jackson, kind of improvised. He scampered into the end zone. Bateman and Flowers both having their confidence is big time for the Ravens passing attack. And then Mark Andrews, he has another game, second game of the year, where he goes over 50 yards. He has 4 catches for 55 yards. A couple of them were in big time moments as well. So shout out to Mark. I think the chemistry and the incorporation of the offense is going to increase for Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. Likely doesn't have a big day statistic-wise, but has 2 touchdowns. So only 13 yards, 3 catches for 13 yards, but was a red zone weapon with 2 touchdowns, man. This tight end trio now with Kohler, Mark, and Likely, it's a problem for opposing defenses. They can all block, they can all catch, and you just don't know which one to focus on, especially whenever you're in 12 and 13 personnel. So big takeaways, man. The offense can win in a variety of ways. Derrick Henry can beat you. Lamar with his legs can beat you. Lamar with his arms can beat you. The tight ends, the receivers, we can win in a multitude of ways. And the defense has got to improve, but it's not like you don't have the personnel to be good. You got Roquan Smith. You got Kyle Hamilton. You got Matabike. You got, Owe, Van Noy, Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams. He's got to play better football. I think he's part of the reason I think some of our safety play needs to improve. And I'm not saying that he needs to be benched, but maybe give some more opportunities to Bo Braid, who had a really nice preseason. We got to do something different in the secondary. We got to mix it up, whether it's scheme or personnel. Maybe our Darius Washington can play some more free safety. I don't know. But Marcus Williams is not playing his best football right now. Took a bad angle for the screen on the Jamar Chase touchdown. And the other Jamar Chase touchdown, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to have the deepest part of that field and not let that receiver go past him on that play. But Marcus Williams got to get better. The secondary, the pass defense as a whole, got to be better. But like I said, the pieces are in place. Like you have great pieces. You have great talent. It's not like you're at just a straight up talent deficiency on the defense. All right, guys, so let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. A reminder that I will be traveling to Baltimore for the Commanders game. So my wife and I will be there, and I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a big-time game. Make sure you got your subscribe and notification bell on, so that way you're notified when we drop that preview and everything else we got planned for you guys. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you in the next video.
When he wasn't looking, he ran me over.